Hey everyone, so this is a tutorial on building the Octolamp with the mini sparkle motion board. This is the cool WLED board from Adafruit that we've got here. It's completely solderless, so yeah, good to go. Right, first of all, let's check we've got the components. So have we got the the mini sparkle motion board? We've got our LEDs here, a JST connector from the board to the LEDs. And then we have three components that are 3D printed. So we have the base, and this is the one with the mini sparkle motion mount. We've got a reflector, and then we have the white inner. Right, so we're going to get started. So first of all, let's do the wiring of the mini sparkle board. Right, so in your list of components, you should have a nice little tiny little screwdriver like this. If not, you'll need a little screwdriver. And then we're simply going to connect it into these terminal connections here. So the order that we're going to put it into is red in the bottom, green on the second from the top, and then white in the top there. So that's power, plus 5 volts power. Data on the second one, and then we've got ground. So let's do that. So I'm going to come in here, do the first one. Now these ones have been pre-trimmed to be the right length of wire that we need. This is a little bit fiddly, but if you haven't got enough wire to sort of stick it in and have a good solid connection, then you might need to trim the wire a tiny little bit before you put it in. But you don't want too much wire, because otherwise, give it a little tug. Yep, that's nice and secure. Do the same again. So pop it in here, and then we're going to just hold it and tighten it up with the terminal connections, like so. Oh, not quite. See, surprisingly, sometimes you might find actually that it doesn't quite go in. So if that's the case, just kind of unscrew it a bit, pull your wire back out, make sure you're in properly, and then screw it back together again. So there we go. Lovely. Great, nice and snug. And then last but not least, the ground wire. Yep, all snug. Right, so believe it or not, that's actually the most complicated thing you're going to do. As I say, this board is fantastic. So this is actually the most complicated thing you're going to do. The board sits here inside of the little mount on the black reflector. So the next thing we're going to do is attach the LEDs to the white inner. So let's do that now. Right then, so we're going to connect the LEDs. The one thing you want to check with your LEDs, it's pretty impossible by the way that we've done the connections so you have the right ones, but you want to make sure that the bit you plug into the board, you see here, there's a little black arrow. This is the direction that the data flows. So this, therefore, is the plug that wants to go into your LEDs. Now these are just some spare wires. We actually don't need these for our project, so if you want, you can actually just snip these wires off. I'm going to do that now just to get them out of the way with a sharp pair of scissors or a pair of wire clippers, whatever you want, because we don't need these. So this is going to be the connection that we plug into our board. Now there are two connections either side of the wire. You've got the female side here and the male side here. So this is the side that we want, the side with the little black arrows pointing away from it. Right, so then what we're going to do is we're going to take the little plastic wrapping off. This is quite tricky to get started. There we go. And you see this is sort of self-sticky. And we're going to fold the first LED. We're going to fold it at the point where you see the little solder pads are there. We're going to fold it there. And then we're going to come in and we're actually going to place it in the middle here, folded up one. And this is the bit that's going to connect into our board later. Then we're going to come round and we're going to just simply pull off the backing and connect this as we go. I try and keep the LEDs sort of right at the top here, because that then gives the light a little bit of time to move before it hits the white, and so it can kind of diffuse a bit more. But you just go around and you just kind of stick it on. Try and be as precise as you can, and definitely make sure as you go round you push all of the LEDs, you know, give them a good firm push onto the side of the plastic there, and that'll make sure that the sticky pad is holding them on to the LED. And we're going to go round both sides of the ring, and we're going to go round the cat in the middle as well. So let's just do that. This takes a little while, and you know, it's a bit fiddly, but just take your time. This is, you know, supposed to be fun, so enjoy yourself. Now we're doing it with the Octocat here, which is a shape and model I designed. But you could do this with anything. You know, it's the board itself is fairly, you can reuse it for anything. Right, when you get to here to the end, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see where it comes up to, which is about here, and then I'm going to make sure I attach these two bits of LED together, and then I'm going to go back around the way I came. So I'm going to come around here and go this way now. So let's keep going. Now you occasionally get a bit where the sort of wire's got a bit creased and folded, so just take your time on those parts and just make sure everything's stuck down. This, once it's stuck, it stays fairly well stuck, but you want to just take your time over this part, because you can kind of see bits where if you don't get it stuck down properly, you can kind of see shadows when you've got it done. So you might as well just take the time to do it in no rush whatsoever. Right, so then we're coming up to the end. Now this bit gets a bit tricky. Okay, so I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to. This tail is actually one of the trickiest parts. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to get it to about to the point. So you sort of measure how many, bits you're going to need. And I can't quite, well, can I do it there? Will that fit? Maybe not. So what I'm going to do, yeah, let's do it there. Let's try, see what happens. So I'm going to try and get the LEDs squeezed in. There we go. Yeah, we've got them in there. And then just going to put that in. If you want, you can use your screwdriver to kind of help you get into those narrow bits. Yeah, careful not to break the LEDs off there, nearly did. Right, there we go. That's good. Come around here. Go into the ears. And we're just pulling the backing off as we go. We don't pull it all off at once, otherwise we'll just end up with a big sticky mess. Right, and then we have the cat. So what I do is I always finish it at the end, just about, there you go. You cut on, you see where there's a little, the metal contacts? Make sure you finish the cut on one of those. So I'm going to just do that there quickly, fold it around like that, and we see there are connections. And then if you look at the end here, we can see we've got this little bit left, and we'll just count how many we have left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19. So 19 left. That means there are 120 on the strip, which is exactly 2 meters long. So that means we've got 101 LEDs on here at the moment. So that's a good way of counting how many lights you need, which is something we need later. Now you can just take these LEDs and this bit of wire. We don't need that anymore. So just throw that in the bin. Okay, we're gonna take our nice little USB lead. This is a USB A to USB C lead that we have in the packet, and we're going to take that and we're going to connect that up to the board. So I'm going to take the wire out. I'm going to thread it in the back here, and then I'm going to connect it into the board, which is a bit fiddly, but you can do it. There we go. So that's securely plugged into the board, and we can see we have the wire coming out from the back of the black outer here. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to take, this is the case that securely fits on top of the mini sparkle board now, and that just holds the mini sparkle board in place. You know, when you're traveling. And the other thing you want to do is prevent this lead coming out when you're traveling or when you're moving things around. So all we're going to do is we're going to take the little cable tie that we have, zip tie, thread it through so that it goes in the one hole and then round to the other hole, and then we're going to just tie the zip tie just to secure the cable in place, really, give some strain relief. Then take a pair of scissors and just snip the end of the zip tie. Lovely and neat. Right, and then we're going to take the white reflector that we have. There we go. We're going to feed the... Actually, no, we'll do it this way around. So we'll take this is the LEDs that we had in our white bit. We're going to take them here, and we're going to feed the wires from the LEDs into the back of the white reflector, so it looks like that. Okay, and then we're going to connect the thing that's on the back here, the thing that connects into our mini sparkle board. We're going to plug it in. This only plugs in one way, so you can't get it wrong. I was about to get it wrong there, but you can see we've got a little bit that pops up here, and this plugs into the board. Connect it up, and you'll notice white goes to white, green to green, red to red. So you know that's all connected up nicely. Then we kind of fold the wire around as we put the white reflector on, slot it in, put the white inner in here, again, making sure all the wiring is nice and neat, and then we just push to fit. So you go push, push. I tend to do the circle first, so push and then push, so that's in, and then I'll do the one connection here on the top of the cat. There we go. If this doesn't fit for some reason, if that doesn't stay in, then you might need to play with the cable management on the bottom of underneath your wires. To do that, if you need to, you can just pinch the reflection, and that'll help you kind of pull it up. You can then play with your cables, make sure they fit nicely and everything's good, and then you can then slot it back in again. There we go. Super. So that is our working light. The next thing we need to do is connect this up to some power, and I'll show you what happens when I do that, because it's going to take the power connection and I'm going to plug it into the USB-C to USB-A power. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to connect to the wireless access point that actually goes on, that's being created by the board itself. So I'm just going to connect a WLED access point. The default password is WLED1234, all lowercase. Once it connects, the iPhone actually has a neat thing where it'll pop up the configuration setting as soon as it connects, but let's just give that a go. Okay, and then we're connected. This is now where you would configure it to connect to your local Wi-Fi when you get home. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to the controls, and we're going to go into config, and then LED preferences. And if I scroll down, we're going to say what we want. So the first thing we want is the length, how many LEDs we've got. So we have 101 LEDs. It's usually around 101 LEDs is what you'll need. And then it's what data, where the data signal goes. And for us, it's pin 33. So we hit done, and then we're going to hit save. And now, if I look at my light, we can see it's all lit up nice and orange. Ooh, that's exciting. Now, if I go back and I go to the controls, you can now play with the color here. So you make it, whatever color you want. I can just go change some colors, or we can come in and actually give it a nice animated effect. So the Pride one's pretty good. So say Pride 2015, that's a nice sort of rainbow color. Also got kind of plasma, which I quite like. And what you can do is, let's say we want to set the default to that, which is Pride. You can then go to presets and you can add a preset. You want to say what you want it to be, so I'm going to say startup, and then I'm going to say save to ID 1 and then hit save. And so it's saving the startup preset. And when you come in here, you can see you've got the APIs that it uses, and you can go to the repo and actually go grab some different animations there if you want, but I'm happy with that one for now. Then I'm going to go into config, I'm going to go back to LED preferences, and if I scroll down, we'll see down here, apply preset 1 on boot, which looks good to me, so I'm going to hit save. And then now, if I remove the power from my light and I plug the power back in again, you can see that it boots up into the preset that you have defined. And then if you want to change the default preset at any time, just save it as preset 1. Okay, so that's it. You have your completed Octolamp with the mini sparkle motion board. Enjoy it. Thanks.